welcome Emeline King. Give it up.
I was 11. It was show and tell at Kyton Elementary School. I brought my little car that I made out of clay and a picture of a car that I drew. I told the class, I'm going to be a transportation designer, work for Ford designing cars with my father. Everybody loved my picture. Wow, did you draw that car? Yep, I sure did, except for my teacher, Mr. Season. He said, Emeline, you're a girl, and girls can't draw cars. Take your hands and do girly things like bake cakes or become a nurse or a secretary. Boys draw cars. Go take your seat. The children started laughing. I wasn't embarrassed. I had the biggest smile. Mr. Season didn't know that my father was a fabrication specialist. He worked at the design center making cars. I remembered it was just a couple of weeks ago. I had just celebrated my 11th birthday. And my father took me with him to the design center. There, he told me, Emeline, I got a surprise for you. I'm going to take you to a special place where I work and where cars are designed. We walked down the long hall. I noticed a blue door. I got closer. It was the familiar smell of clay, and that clay is what led me to want to open that door. But I couldn't. Dad said, no, stop, Lena girl. You can't go behind that door. Because behind that door, I'll tell you, is transportation designers. These are men who design every car that you see up and down the road. They take their ideals, they turn them into clay models. I take those models, turn them into fabric glass models. Then those models go through a big process, and they eventually end up in the dealership where people can buy them. After Dad told me that, I knew I wanted to become a transportation designer. And he said, don't let anybody tell you what you can't become or do, and I'll be there to support you. My mind went back when I was 5, and Dad bought me a Mustang rocking horse. Yes, he did. He would take me to visit the Oscar Graves studio. He was a famous black sculptor. I loved the smell of clay, and I loved all the sculpture there. Dad worked with Mr. Graves, and to keep me busy, Mr. Graves would hand me a big lump of clay, and he showed me how to make a car out of clay. He said, one day, you're going to be a great artist or a sculptor. Now, my journey in car design started at Winterhalter Junior High School. Yeah. After school, I would run home. I would start drawing cars. Dad noticed my talent. He was so proud and happy. He told his coworkers, a talented group of black car designers. They were excited too. So they gave Dad art supplies so I could use those to enhance my skills. I would take my drawings, show them to my teacher. She wrote a letter of recommendation to Cass Technical High School. Yes, yes, yes. I enrolled in commercial arts, and I excelled in all my classes. I won the New York Stock Poster Contest. Yep, I did that. There, they gave me $500, and I was featured in the Michigan Chronicle. My entry was job equality for men and women in the workplace. When I graduated from Cass, it was on to Wayne State University. There, I received the majority of professional training from car designers. I would take academic classes in the morning, and in the evening, transportation design classes. Then, on Saturdays, I enrolled in the Center for Creative Studies, took more classes, plus I was still being tutored by Mr. Graves in sculpture. I was the only girl in my transportation design class. I didn't have any time for boys. My life was committed to becoming a transportation designer. I graduated from Wayne State. I had an excellent portfolio. This was going to be my showpiece to land a job at Ford. But first, I wanted to test the waters. So I interviewed at GM. Personnel took my portfolio, had me waiting for hours in a different room before they came back and said, "Sorry, we're not hiring." Wow. A couple of years later, I saw my designs on some of GM products. Sure did. The next interview was at Ford. Personnel asked me, "Did these designs come out of your head?" I said, "Yes." I even showed them a sketchbook of my envision of what Ford products could look like in the near future. Their response, "We're not hiring. The economy is bad." Dad said, "Don't give up." I said, "Dad, can you get me an interview with the president of design, Mr. Jack Talnat?" Mr. Talnat would have hired me right there on the spot, but his hands was tied. Ford put a freeze on hiring, but he recommended that I attend the Art Center College of Design in Pasadena, California. He said, "Emeline, if you graduate from here, you will be equipped to run Ford Motor Company." Tuition was expensive, but Dad made it happen. Art Center was impressed with my portfolio. I only had to attend the school for 18 months, and I received my degree. Smithsonian Magazine, they wrote an article, and it said, "Emeline King, Ford's newest designer, shows off her design concepts." I was the first Black female to graduate in transportation design from Art Center. My fourth interview, I landed that job. And on October 24th, 1983, I became Ford's first African-American female transportation designer. What a historic day. Dad and I, we rolled into work together. Dad told me, "Leanie girl, I want you to promise to keep a journal of everything, because one day it's gonna come in handy." The first studio that I worked in was International Studio. My desk was behind that blue door that I had encountered 15 years ago when I was 11. The black mentors were there to greet me, Dad beaming with pride. I even met Mr. McKinley Thompson, the first black male car designer. A year later, I was off to Europe designing cars in Italy, Germany, and England. I returned back and I was in the Thunderbird studio. My design soared. I helped design the '89 Ford Thunderbird, the 1990 Thunderbird Super Coupe. All my designs made production. I was so happy to see my ideals being driven up and down all over. I had to set new goals because I had a problem. There was 1% of black male car designers in management, 0% for a black female. All of my other coworkers, they would return back from foreign service and they received promotions into management. I had the most diverse education, the most seniority, 3 foreign service assignments, and designs that made production. Then, several years later, Ford started hiring female car designers. They all went up that corporate ladder and made management. I addressed my concern to HR, but I kept hearing the same thing over and over and over. Emeline, keep up the good work. Dad told me, you want your problem solved? Go to the main source. I spoke to the design executive. He told me management needs to relate your name or your face with a hot project. That's great, but I'm never the designer that gets selected for these hot projects. He said, be patient, something's coming down the line. Not too long, management announced about the redesign of the 1964 Ford Mustang. It was going to be a hot project. They were going to select a certain design team to work on the assignment for 4 years. I hauled up there to management. I just got to be on this project. And I want to be on that project from start to finish. I will focus on the female market because, unfortunately, the men here are designing cars with no clue to what women face. That's true. So I incorporated certain design features that catered for women. All your knobs, switches, door handles, surfaces were smooth with round edges so they wouldn't break a fingernail. It wouldn't split a skirt or rip a pair of stockings. The seats were designed with comfort and ease so that there would be no problem getting in and out of the vehicle. No matter if we wore high heels, a long gown, or a short skirt. I maintained the integrity of the IP. It was based around a 2-tone cockpit, so the driver and the passenger would experience their own unique experience. The IP panel had a very sculptured, free-flowing design from IP panel to the door panel. And I maintained those exterior Mustang cues, kept that running pony in the honeycomb grill. There was a side scoop on the rear panel and the 3-bar tail lights. I was fortunate to design a muscle car with a sweet and soft touch of feminine elegance. Yes. The '94 interior Mustang theme did not change for 14 years. It didn't change until 2004. That's a classic. The Mustang, along with myself, we received numerous nationwide attention. It was voted Motor Trend Car of the Year. I received the Spirit of Detroit. Magazine coverage from Ebony to Road and Track. I even made a guest appearance on Good Morning America. Yes. Debuting the interior at the North American International Auto Show. So I was the face of Mustang. It was my claim to fame. Management knew this, but it didn't land me in a seat in management. But it did for all the other males who worked on that project. I was transferred to another design studio, but I kept my track record. I was successful in helping design the 2000 Thunderbird 2-seater convertible, the 2002 Lincoln Town Car, and the 2004 Lincoln Aviator as well. In 2007, things just took a nosedive. I was transferred out of design into brand marketing. That didn't make sense. I was more valuable designing cars than analyzing these vehicles. Then, July 31st, 2008, at exactly 1 p.m., my design career crashed. Ford downsized, and I was given involuntary company separation. But the biggest problem was, how was I going to utter 5 words? Dad, Ford let me go. He was calm. He said, tell your mom. Then he asked me, did you keep your promise? I said, Dad, yes. I documented and kept a record from the day that you and I walked through those doors in Design Center until the day that I was escorted out by a security guard. Dad, being a Baptist pastor, said, now, the Holy Spirit has said, the world needs to hear Emeline's story. Tell her to write her book. And that book launched unlimited platforms for me to travel, for me to tell my story. It reached as far as Africa. I received a lifetime membership with the Mustang Club of Southeastern Michigan, an honorary membership with the Mount Ford Point Marines. And this fall, I will be inducted into the SEMA Automotive Hall of Fame. I was a featured guest designer for an automotive exhibition at the Detroit Institute of Art. My father and I had an opportunity to meet Mr. Edsel Ford II. Following the Holy Spirit, I autographed a book, presented it to Mr. Ford, and shared my story. He was so impressed. In a couple of weeks, I received a letter from the Henry Ford Museum of Automotive Innovations in Dearborn, Michigan. At Mr. Ford's request, his book, My Story, now is registered in their archives. So when I look back at that birthday present that Daddy gave me, that Mustang rocking horse at 5, Dad must have had foresight that his Leanie girl would one day open those pages of history, fulfill her dream of becoming the first black female car designer for Ford, design the '94 Mustang interior, and write her book. So, my response to Mr. Season: what do you mean a black girl can't design cars? Emeline King, she did it. Thank you.
Give it up one more time for our super sister, Emeline King. That's the super sister there. Yes.